But like I said, this is a 6-week class that I teach just on this element alone. So 30 minutes doesn't do justice. As a matter of fact, I may take the next show and complete the principles. So let me think about that. As a matter of fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to use 2 or maybe even 3 shows to complete the pleasing personality package, okay? So let's talk about another element, tactfulness. Tactfulness. You've heard the word tacky? You know, you've probably heard that word kind of growing up. You know, that's tacky. Or they said, you know, that maybe the clothes they have on is tacky or they look tacky or whatever. Well, I don't know if it means those kinds of things necessarily, and it might, but I'm going to go over some things that it says tactfulness is that it exhibits itself in many facets of everyday living, okay? And tactfulness consists of doing and saying the right thing at the right time. Saying the right thing at the right time. So it's kind of like a cousin to common courtesy, okay? Now, here are some things that is a list of the more common errors in tactfulness, which will be avoided by the person who wishes to develop and maintain a pleasing personality. Number 1, carelessness and tone of voice. Now, could you understand, and you probably know this is true, but your tone of voice, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, could really make an impact in how other people perceive you. And the persona that you personify to the world. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So if you talk in a gruff and an irritable tone, it really indicates negativity. You know, whether you think it does it or not, it personifies that to the world. Number 2, interrupting the speech of others. Now, that was one of my weaknesses that I had, and I still kind of have it sometimes. You know, I'm not perfect. You know, I still work on these principles too. They're still working on me. Even after 22 years of teaching them and learning them, I'm still twice the student that I am the teacher. So I have to study these principles. And being a talker all my life, you know, listening was one of the things that I had to get used to being better at. And still a weakness of mine today is being a listener, and I want to be a better listener than I have been, and that's one of the things I work on. But interrupting the speech of others is a very common error which is most discourteous and indicates a lack of a pleasing personality. Now, you would think that that's something that really has nothing to do with the pleasing personality, but I promise you, something like that, interrupting the speeches of others, can really have an impact on how other people view you. Okay? Now, here's an example that I learned in a class I took by Carol McCall years ago called The Empowerment of Listening. And I never forgot it because, like I said, she stepped all over my toes that day, because that's when I really realized that I really wasn't as good a listener as I thought I was. I don't even know if I thought I was a good listener then. But she says, whenever somebody else is talking, she says, if you begin to think about what it is that you're going to say back to that person before they finish speaking, she says that in effect, at the time that you began doing that, you stop listening. Now let that sink in a minute. Somebody else is carrying on a conversation with you, and while they're talking with you, even if you have good eye contact, if you begin to think about what it is that you're going to say back to them in response to what they're saying, really, the point you started doing that, you really stopped listening, and you didn't get all the conversation. And I was guilty of that. So I had to work on that, and I still work on that because I catch myself. And look, you know, all the things we're talking about in this environment, they're not easy to do. This is hard work, you know, especially if you came, you know, like me, being a talker. You know, I kind of came from a talking background. My mother's kind of a talker. And it's hard to kind of switch gears and be a listener, you know, and to perfect that skill. But then when I found out that it affects my success traits, that had a larger impact probably on me than ever before. So I became more cognizant of understanding that others should speak and give them freedom to finish their conversation. What about the next one? Overworking the pronoun I. Okay? How about overworking the pronoun I? Now, all of these things that I'm listing now are really under the element of tactfulness. Okay? So if you do these things, then it affects how other people perceive you, and it's kind of tacky. It's kind of tacky when you're always talking about what you do. I did this. It's my show. This is what I did. If you overwork the pronoun I, pretty soon you will lose the interest of people, and people will not want to be around you. So that would be the person that you personify to the world. Okay, here's some other ones here. Challenging the soundness of the opinions of others. That's one. Using profane and offensive language. That's one. Expressions one dislikes too freely. That's one. Speaking of one's own physical ailments. Now there's one. You know, have you ever been around somebody and they just complain all the time about how sick they are and how bad they feel, and they just got back from the doctor, and you know they got this ailment, and you know I'm sick, and all that kind of thing. And although it may be true, it's just kind of like after a while, you know, you would say, well, that's good, you know, but kind of take that to your doctor, you know, or maybe don't bring it to the marketplace, or maybe don't bring it to the conversation, because, you know, after a while that can kind of wear on you. You know, but now you probably wouldn't look about that as an aspect of a pleasing personality, but it really is, because people look at you and feel about you in that way, and that's the kind of ways that you project. So when they see you come and go, oh Lord, here comes that person who's complaining again, you know, and so be careful. And this is really, these elements really where the rubber meets the road. So I'm telling you, and we're really just giving a glossing over them in these 30-minute broadcasts, because we really need, and if you're really interested in really taking the class on these principles, this one element alone, pleasing personality, is a 6-week class just on pleasing personality. There are 29 elements that we take the time to go in detail on. And again, the number is 919-682-8473. My extension is 14. Give Dennis Gaddy a call if I could help in maybe going deeper and giving you some more information on these principles. Here's another one. Facial expressions and tone of voice. Unbelievable what your facial expression says to the world. Your facial expression, especially if you're smiling, says that, you know, life is great, that I'm happy, come and talk to me, I'm friendly, let's talk. But if you're gruff looking and, you know, and you're not smiling, you know, people don't want to be around you. So we really have to be careful how we personify to the world with our facial expression. Practice the habit of smiling, okay? Practice the habit of smiling, because I promise you, if you smile, you may send that same smile to someone else, and it kind of becomes contagious, and you're able to maybe uplift somebody else. And those are the kind of people who want to be around you, because they'll say, this person is always smiling, this person is always happy, and that's the kind of person I want to rub shoulders with, that's the kind of person I want to be around. And you have a good air about you, and you send a pleasing personality. Okay, I've already talked about tone of voice, but you know, a pleasing tone of voice is very important. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I'm going to stop right there on the elements, because I've already said that I want to use maybe 2 or 3 shows to go over a pleasing personality, and maybe talking about it, maybe we'll call it the pleasing personality pack or something. I don't know what we'll call it, but we'll put maybe 2 or 3 shows together talking about these elements, and we just kind of getting started today. I want to let you know that we really appreciate you for listening in to the empowerment environment. We are just getting started. This really is an experiment. You know, we kind of really thought about this, and actually it was born on a prison bunk. You know, you've heard of me talk about the prison experience. This show was visualized when I was incarcerated, and to be able to have the time and the opportunity to be able to do it is really exciting to me. We look forward to hanging out with you once a week or maybe more by broadcast, and we look forward to you tuning in to the empowerment environment. So until next time, we will see you, and make sure you make it a great day. Thank you.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Right on the head.